The Big Island of Hawaii has always been a special place for me. It contrasts from my home island of Oahu, which is always super overcrowded and super touristy. Just for that fact, being on the Big Island allows me to connect with the landscape at a much deeper and much more spiritual level. From the ocean's crystal clear clarity to towering waterfalls surrounded by lush forests, from the rugged coast up to the sacred summits of Mauna Kea, all the way down to the literal birthplace of new land. This island literally has it all. So when my cousins wanted to island hop over to the Big Island for the weekend, I was more than happy to be their tour guide. Our grandparents are from the Big Island, and while they weren't able to join us on this trip, I felt this obligation to make the most of our short weekend getaway. In fact, our grandma encouraged us to see and do as much as we could, and encouraged us to use this opportunity not just to connect with each other, but to connect with our kupuna and our ancestors as well. We started off our trip in Hilo, and our first stop was, of course, the world famous Hilo Farmers Market. That was followed by some of Hilo's classic waterfall views and caves. Do it for the gram is a phrase that is often used to describe the ridiculous lengths people go in order to promote themselves on social media. However, on this trip, do it for the gram meant something different. Doing it for the gram meant taking a photo not for Instagram, but for taking a photo for Gram Mali. Hilo is known to be kind of like a rainy town. If you can compare it to the Ko'olau side or the windward side of Oahu, it's kind of similar weather. And that wasn't so much of a big deal for our waterfall sightseeing, but it could throw a wrench in our sunset plans. We held our breath as we drove up through the clouds onto Saddle Road. Saddle Road is the main road that connects Hilo to Kona. It cuts straight through the Big Island. Right in the middle lies the sacred summit of Mauna Kea, which was our sunset location. We could barely see 10 feet in front of us as we blasted through the clouds and the fog, but thankfully, as we ascended up the mountain, the clouds descended below us. It was a sigh of relief as we approached the Mauna Kea Visitor Center. Kudos to Brenton for kind of knowing how to drive a four-wheel drive, and he did a phenomenal job making sure that we didn't burn off the brakes of our rental car. Well, hello there. Woo. Welcome back to the summit of Mauna Kea. It is cold, it is windy, and we have about an hour before the sun actually sets up here. We are here on the Big Island for a nice little quick trip with my cousin Caitlin, my sister Jessica, and her boyfriend Brenton. So sorry for the lack of introduction or whatever, but kind of spent the busy day running around, getting everything set up, and then driving up to Mauna Kea for sunset. We have a beautiful, beautiful shot set up right here. We had to walk a little bit down from the summit, but I think it was well worth it. Let me show you guys real quick. Whew, man. Okay, so we have this huge, gigantic crater right in front of us here. That's looking pretty sick. And then in the background of that, we have Mauna Loa in all of its glory. So what I think I'm gonna wanna do here is I might wanna do a quick time lapse. And because we are in the wind, we are suffering, it's difficult. Got a headache from the altitude, of course, or maybe it's because my hat is tied on too tight. But basically what we want to do is we want to get a panorama of this shot and then set up a time lapse. It is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I always love coming up here, if only it wasn't for the altitude and the suffering that we endure every time we come up. But I feel a lot better than last time. Last time I felt super, not nauseous, but super dizzy. I don't feel as dizzy right now. I just have a headache, which is manageable, you know. It is windy, that's for sure. Man, we are definitely braving the elements. Everybody else, as soon as they, as soon as they went out, took a few pictures, and then went immediately back inside. And I'm like, I'm gonna go for a little bit of a walk. Oh, bad decision. Bad and good decision at the same time, I guess. We have a jam-packed weekend for this. Hopefully we can end up doing a little bit more talking to the camera, but so far I hope you've been enjoying the sights and the sounds, because I most certainly have. All right, so we're gonna try and let this time lapse get to 480 photos, so that'll give us a good sized time lapse. And then we're gonna walk back up to the main lookout area, set up the time lapse, probably go into the car and recover for a little bit, and then walk out, you know, right as everything is getting nice and golden and nice and good, and then we'll be perfect. Yeah, should be fun. Ah, man, walking at altitude is not fun. I'm so out of breath. Whew. I think we ought to set our time lapse up here, right behind this telescope, because at least I'm thinking is should be shielded from the wind. Maybe I thought wrong. I don't think anything can shield us from this wind. All right, beautiful setup right here. I actually think this might move around a little bit too much in the wind, so let's set this up a little bit lower. That way we won't get any movement and no risk of tipping over in the wind. Yeah, there we go. After sunset, we hung out at the visitor center to stargaze for a little bit as the Milky Way rose above us. We then did a quick little drive down to Volcano National Park. Despite the fact that Madame Pele was taking a Pauhana nap, she did give us a little bit of a glow, just enough glow to take some shots for the gram. Sky get action today. Welcome back to Hilo. It is day 2 of our, Big Island series here. The Big Island series of 2022, I guess. And we are out here on what's called Coconut Island. It's a little island that's connected by a bridge. It's like literally like 5 minutes from my hotel. And we decided to come here for sunrise. We're gonna try and go find a composition real quick. The sky, as you can tell, is kind of already glowing a little bit. Ironic that on Coconut Island, we are not gonna be shooting any coconut trees. Oh man, all these clouds are blowing away. It's really making me kick myself for not being here earlier when we had that glow. I mean, that glow wasn't too crazy. It wasn't like, oh my God, I wish I was, like burn of the year or anything like that. But it was one that was like, it was quite nice. Like, took some nice video. I'm like, oh, it looks pretty good on camera. Oh well, it is what it is. Yep, this time lapse was not working. The clouds are too wide. So we're gonna move a little bit further back over here. You see the sun rising off in the distance there. But at least we can get the clouds a little bit more behind the tree. Use our zoom to kind of compress the scene in a little bit. Alright, well there is your Hilo sunrise, people. Today we have a jam-packed day full of activities. We are trying to make our way over to Kona side from Hilo because we have the plans to swim with the manta rays tonight. So I got the underwater housing. Hopefully I can dial in my settings and get them all, correct for, nighttime use. I've never done that before. And then we're also going to make several stops on the way down, the usual Akaka Falls, Waipio Valley, and we'll see what else the day has in store for us. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this sunrise. I think I'm going to stop it here. Not really a whole lot more to go, but yeah, beautiful sunrise, but yeah, gotta get the rest of the day started. After breakfast, we headed up the coast to visit the classic Akaka Falls. We could have saved time taking Saddle Road to get from Hilo to Kona, but instead we drove up to the northeastern point of the island to visit Grandma's hometown of Honoka'a, which is right next to the classic Waipio Valley. Another shot for the gram? Check. After arriving in Kona and securing our sleeping arrangements, we headed down to the docks to do a nighttime swim with manta rays. Now, I was really nervous for this manta ray shoot. I have never taken underwater shots at night. Turns out I was able to do a pretty good job taking shots, but I completely forgot to take video, so I apologize for that. But it's an excuse to go back. Overall, the experience was breathtaking. Unfortunately, the manta rays didn't find our light on top of our raft attractive enough to do any belly rubs on us, but it was still an amazing, awe-inspiring experience. Our last day on the Big Island began at stupid o'clock as I woke everybody up and dragged them out of bed to do a sunrise shoot at Pololu Valley. Now, if you remember the last time we shot at Pololu, we got absolutely moody conditions and no light, so you could definitely say that I was motivated to capture this beautiful place in the best light possible. Goodness gracious.
Holy smokes, this is gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, wow. Too bad that's not over there, but then the sun will be rising there and that's not exactly what I want. But whew, beautiful, beautiful glow. I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping that the sun rises quickly over those clouds and we get some light on the coast. But right now, that nice high cloud glow is really beautiful. Oh my bejesus, look at that. Do you think we can get a panorama? We might be able to get a quick panorama. Let's try it. Oh my God. I'm having the absolute time of my life. It is beautiful out here. We have beautiful high clouds this way, burning in the sky, and we have some high clouds even over the main lookout over here at Pololu. And oh my God, it's just amazing. I'm just taking panoramas as the water recedes. I'm trying to get all of the reflections in the water there. So we're gonna take like half a second exposure there, turn the camera a little bit, half a second exposure. And we're just don't shake the camera. Gradually moving over. Oh, but man, this is absolutely beautiful. It's hard to describe the feeling that I'm feeling right now, but if there was one, it would just be I don't know, just pure elation, because the difference between weather from last time till now, it's night and day. Like last time we had like what usually is the worst conditions, but we still shot it anyways and it was still worth it. But now, comparison today, we have literally the best conditions out here right now. So they're still going, but we kind of lost the reds. So I decided, okay, let's switch to the time lapse. Let's take a couple steps back, zoom in a little bit, and that's the shot that we're getting for our time lapse. It's absolutely beautiful. We still have a hint of those high clouds, but for the most part, they've kind of lost their color. So yeah, we'll just hopefully get the sun rising over those clouds and shining some of its golden light on the coast, and we'll get some of its light shining all the way in the back there. And then we'll also fly the drone once the sun is up. But wow, look at this light right now. It is just kicking off. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, that golden light was absolutely incredible. Right now it's just coming in and out of shadow, I think because of all the clouds that are there. But I think this is a good time to stop the time lapse. I would really, in theory, love to be here like all morning just time lapsing for hours. But I'm doing 1 second intervals and yeah, that's gonna be a problem later on. Plus I have a family to get back to up on top of the hill. But man, this was an absolutely breathtaking morning from high clouds in the beginning to then getting some beautiful, beautiful golden light in the after the sun comes up. Holy smokes. You don't get that very often, but there's a nice burn and then some golden light after. That's definitely a landscape photographer's dream, dream conditions. As an added benefit, after sunrise, we visited the nearby Tongbo Society, where one of our oldest ancestors, Uolani, was buried. I'm sure that doing this for the gram meant a lot to her. We had some time to kill before our flight back home, so we stopped by Pu'ukohola Heiau, where I was completely humiliated by my sister at Konane, or Hawaiian Chest. I guess that's the Kamehameha schools at work. I also picked up this little friend here, this Nene Goose. And no, it is not live Kylie. It is a stuffed animal Nene Goose, but still just as cute. As we flew home, I reflected on this past trip, and even though we were super exhausted, I definitely feel like we accomplished our mission. Grandma had tasked me with showing her grandkids the beauty of her home island, and I think we did a pretty good job at that. Although I don't think that they will be traveling with me anytime soon. I hope this video made you feel like you were right there with us as we reconnected with our Aina and with our Kupuna. And even though I would normally do these travel videos for myself, this one in particular, I did for the gram.